You're on the best of the morning X. Barnes, Leslie, and Jimmy.
99X.
Now, I got a new lease on life earlier in the week when I realized that there are Russian women who may want to meet me
Mail order bride.
for only $24.95.
You've got to get one of them in here.
And Delta Airlines, they coughed up the airfare and they said, Jimmy, you find the Russian bride-to-be and we will fly her to the States. And it's great because it's like you get a 90-day trial.
What does it tell you one of the biggest corporations in the world wants to get you laid?
That's power, Barnes.
That's saying something.
That's power.
They're willing to fly in Jimmy
I
Your
don't
future
Russia.
wife. Future wife.
Well, you know, it was kind of cool what that guy was saying who invented or who concocted this SiberianLove.com, that they have a fiancé visa. The government now has a fiancé visa because I guess guys were going over there to other countries and they were just like marrying people on the spur of the moment, and then they bring them back to this country and it wouldn't work out. So now they have a special kind of visa that allows men and women to travel to other countries for 90 days.
You get 90 days of action, then you can send it back.
And then you either have to marry them or they go back.
Jimmy, you're golden.
So there are others like pages full of, I mean, I'm telling you, Inyika, she's
tough.
So
She's all you.
I was put in touch with this guy. Dan, should I just use your first name?
Sure.
Dan, where do you live?
Up here in Richmond.
Richmond, Virginia. And he actually went to Russia.
he did.
Now, it wasn't through SiberianLove.com. It was through one of the other similar types of websites where there are these Russian women. Now, here's the story that I hear, Dan. You know, tell us if we're wrong. The story we hear is that there are all these Russian women who are very beautiful, attractive, available women who are looking for men, but the men there are all either drunk or poor or, jobless and penniless, that there's slim pickings there.
Yeah, there's definitely some slim pickings, and the other thing is that not everybody's an alcoholic, but I'd say, when I was out, that 50% of the men were just plowed. I mean,
Yeah, the Stoli flows very...
Big time.
Yeah.
So you went where?
I went to the Ukraine, which is a former Soviet bloc.
And you had been hooked up with a woman online prior to that?
No. You can browse through. It's called worldclass.com. You can browse through, and I had picked, maybe 18 or 20 that, I would like to meet.
Uh-huh.
So would you have a little map with little stars, and you start driving around the Ukraine?
No, basically, when I showed up at the airport, I had a manager, like a female manager,
Right.
and she had 4 thick books of pictures and, basically resumes of the women.
Uh-huh.
And she's, basically like, you like them, take it out of the book. And, I picked like, maybe 20, 30 out, and then flipped them all over, didn't look at their pictures, and started reading through, what they had to offer.
Mm-hmm.
So you looked before you looked at them?
No, I
what
looked at all the
drove you-
pictures first.
Let me
okay.
back up.
They had to be, like, physically attractive to me.
Right.
And then I flipped them over, and if, like, let's say, I don't smoke, and I really, what I mean?
So
if they smoked,
then you
I bailed them.
discard that one, right?
That's got to be a big problem because everybody smokes in those Eastern Bloc countries.
Well, not everybody, because it's expensive to smoke.
Oh, okay.
How old are you?
31.
And hey, what drove you to this?
Yeah.
Well, basically, I was married for 9 years, 2 kids, and, it didn't work out or whatever. Got back on the dating scene again. I wasn't meeting, the caliber of women I wanted to, basically.
Why
those
not a
that
dating?
were meeting were like, upwardly mobile, single, don't really want to be married, you'll have a good time in bed and all that and hang out. But, I don't want to, like, lock down anything permanent.
Dan, why not a dating service in the States? It's the same thing.
Yeah, I went with like one, and I just wasn't happy with the service I was getting, I guess.
You're not
I mean,
gonna
it was
get
more
that,
like a whim, like
Yeah.
I had
Like, why
2 weeks
not?
vacation. I figured,
Why not?
how often in the United States can you date 3 women a day, every day, for 2 weeks? You can't do it.
Yeah, no. I mean, who would want to, but,
Well, let's get to it.
So
Tell
you
us
go
about
to
your
Russia,
experience there.
Jimmy, I found another one for you to check out later, chickswithmustaches.com. They've got some over there from Czechoslovakia that
Is
I
that
want you to
right?
check out, too.
Yeah.
I want to hear about your experience, Dan.
Yeah, so you fly to Russia.
Were you nervous showing up in the Ukraine knowing you're going looking for chicks?
Well, at first I thought it'd be pretty cool, but I mean, these girls. I mean, 90% of the girls are 100% serious about this, and, you know, they ask, like, detailed questions like, how come, you know, you have custody of your children, but, you know, why'd your wife leave, you know, and then you hit this 3 times a day, and you're dragging out your whole, you know, the whole details of the divorce.
Although, that is a very valid question.
Sure, if they're going to come...
If you're on a date with somebody.
Be your woman.
And some of the girls were sure that I was just bringing them back and making them prostitutes, and, you know...
I'm sure they're leery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, American guys, you know. So you go out with these women, were they as attractive in person as in their pictures?
Some yes, some no.
Were they smart women?
Yeah, most of them were college educated.
They speak English?
Some yes, some no.
Do they shave?
Some yes, some no.
Did you ultimately find a wife?
Some yes, some no.
I have a possibility.
Oh, you do? So you've been hooked up with one?
Yeah.
And
so what do you do?
What
Email back and forth, or what do you?
Yeah. How do you carry on the courtship?
Well, basically, like you said on your program there, it's kind of a try before you buy.
Uh-huh.
And she can come over here for 90 days, and then, you know, at the end of that period, you have to either decide to get married or send her back.
Is she coming over?
Yeah.
Did you sleep with her over there?
No. She wouldn't let me. Actually, some of the girls would.
At least you tried.
Yeah,
Well, you know,
that's all that
I
counts.
didn't like her.
Right. But some of the other girls, did many of the girls feel like that was the way to land their American man, was to sleep with them?
I'm not saying, like, I probably couldn't have, but...
Did you rock the Ukraine?
No. Actually, some of the girls around my office were joking with me. They gave me, like, a jumbo box of condoms for my ride over there. And I don't...
So you have someone coming over here?
Say again?
You have someone coming over here?
Yeah, in November.
What's her first name?
Natalia.
Natalia,
They're
Jimmy!
all like Natasha, Nashinki. I mean, they're all a not something.
It's like having your own Bond. Oh,
Well, if you're feeling sporty, I wrote like 30 pages of documentation on my whole trip experience and everything at danslegel.com.
That's right. I saw your website. It's phenomenal. You know what? He was with some very attractive women. danslegel.com, SLAGLE.
Jimmy, you've got to get one in here.
Oh, Mr.
Just for the
So
experiment.
are there
Mr.
sparks
Dan.
between you and Natalia?
Oh yeah. Well, if in the paper or in the web pages, you'll see that when she came off the bus, you know, she expected like everybody. I was absolutely the youngest American ever been there, and only 8 Americans had been to that city before me. It was like East Bumble,
right,
Ukraine.
So you were the youngest dude.
And I was definitely the youngest dude at 31.
And how old was she?
She was 23.
23.
Mm-hmm.
And
wow.
What's the communication like? Is it okay?
Yeah,
Can you understand each other?
No, she speaks pretty well. She knows like 3,000 words. She just has problems putting it together.
Oh, that's the same with me.
Yeah.
Do you find there is any commonality there? I mean, what do you guys? What are the commonalities?
As far as our relationship, you mean?
I mean, you know,
there's got to be big boundaries. I mean,
right when
Well, I mean,
but what's her life like? Why did she? What is her background? How did she end up in this?
Well, I guess basically, you know, she did the same thing everybody did. You know, started playing around when she was 17, 18, and just kind of saw, you know, where her life was leading and everything, and just decided, not necessarily an American man, but she just didn't want to, you know, she wanted to marry someone outside her country.
did they ask you what you made for a living? Any other girls?
No. Well, I mean, some did, but she didn't.
Do you think there's a future for you and Natalia?
Oh, I'm hoping so. I mean...
Hey, well, let us know what happens when she comes back, when she comes over.
Well, maybe I'll get her to, you know, when she comes, maybe you can call me in December or something and you can have her get on the radio or something.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I may have my own little Soviet mistress. Oh, Mr. Dan, you are a very good person. I love you, Dan.
Daniel,
right?
you're a very good person. I love you so much.
Can we go and the football's game?
Wouldn't that be a novelty, though, for about a year, and then you get annoyed?
Well,
annoyed. Hey,
Barnes,
honey,
Barnes.
Come on,
I
honey.
was annoyed with my American wife after about a year. So.
Yeah, really. Hey, honey, enough with the accent already.
Yeah, that just scares me, wheeling over some, you know, Russian for you, Jimmy, and then 3 months later you can't stand it.
Well, that could happen here.
Of course.
I know, but you can't just dispose of her, though.
Well, actually,
I guess
it's
you can
easier.
just say,
It's
here,
easier with that.
get on the plane.
After 90 days. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
sorry,
actually, I mean, America's provided me a good escape route because she has to stay here almost 4 years before she can become an American citizen. So I don't even have to deal with the ex-wife. She has to get her ass back on a plane.
Yeah, but you've got to marry her within 3 months.
Right.
Right?
That's
You've got
true.
3 months to marry this woman.
Yeah, well, that's
Natalia.
why God invented prenups, I guess.
Well, good luck, Dan. We want to hear about it.
He's got all the
Dan.
angles covered.
He is covered.
He's got it covered.
Feel
Dan
better
Slagle.
about this whole thing, Jimmy?
This is Dan who went to Russia to meet a woman, and he did, and he's flying her in here in November to
You're next.
see how it goes.
The best of the Morning X.
99X.